I will start off by saying that I have noticed my quality of life getting better and better. The more the more I became conscious of certain patterns, of certain behaviors that I have, of certain fears that would come up. I am going to analyze every aspect, every thought process that I had. Yes, this is probably what it's about. This videos will be a series of videos about my old way of thinking that probably can really relate to some of you as well, and understanding the correlation between your thought pattern and your life, and then understand how to change this narrative to your favor. And everything actually started for me when I had this deep desire of living a better life. And everything started from the desire of not reacting so much to what was happening around me. My desire was coming from a place of being unbothered, letting things pass through me without being affected by them, so much emotionally affected by them. So my desire, ever since I was 19 years old, I've always had this desire inside of me, but I was not aware that I could actually do something about it. I wasn't aware of the fact that I could actually do something by starting to work on myself, and that I didn't know that by working on myself, it could actually have an effect on my world, my reality. I can start off by saying that in my life recently, I had a complete change related to a situation that I was not able to change for as long as I can remember. So if you feel that you're stuck on something and you can't figure out how to get out of it, this video will help you. I hope it will help you, because in a certain way, it can take you a different type of approach, and I know it can sound uncomfortable or unfamiliar, but when you try everything and nothing works, you realize that you really need to shift your way of doing things. You need to have a different approach, and what can work for other people, maybe it doesn't work for you, because you have to find what is that thing that triggers you inside of you. And everyone has a different process. We don't know how other people deal with things. We are not behind the scenes. We cannot know how other people process their own desires, their own fears, and everything related to that. Because you can read a success story about someone that manifested the love of their life in 3 days, but you don't know their belief system. You don't know if they always believed it was easy for them to manifest love and to get the love life they always wanted, you know? So maybe they have a different belief system. Success stories can be positive in a certain way, because they really make you understand that there are no limits, but at the same time, we don't know what is in other people's minds. We don't know how other people's minds work. So we never have to compare our experience to other people's experiences. All I want to say is that I have a different type of approach, because I'm telling you what worked for me, and if it doesn't resonate, then you can try other methods. But I am saying that I came with the conclusion of what I'm about to talk about because I was persisting in, and I was insisting on certain techniques that really didn't do me any good, because all they did for me was making me more insistent. Insisting for me created a lot of resistance, because the more we persist, the more we expect the results, because they say that if we persist, we get it. But at the same time, the more we persist and insist, the more we expect results to come. And the more our frustration can grow, everything grows proportionately. The more we persist, the more we think it's the right thing to do, the more our frustration grows, because we know it's supposed to work from what other people say, but at the same time, we don't see results. What was my process? My process was getting clear about what I always used to think about love life, what my self-concept in love has always been. And my self-concept in love was not made from one day to the other, but my self-concept in love was created on the basis of all the experiences that I've gathered together, of all of the experience that I've put together. So I can tell you that my self-concept in love was created by experience after experience. I had this idea of finding love in my life. That was a dream of mine, because it is so, the idea of love, the idea of relationship is so romanticized that I think it's like a concept that even by society, when we look outside in the world, we realize how important relationships are, and we tend to idealize the importance of relationships. And I'm telling you that I had this deep desire of sharing my life with someone because I have idealized this concept. The self-concept that I had in love was created by the little experiences here and there that I had, you know. So first relationship, they went down because I was aiming for love, but I absolutely was not able to sustain it. I was not able to sustain it, and I was constantly meeting people that couldn't give me what I wanted. My self-concept in love was put together through all sorts of limiting beliefs. My brain was expecting things to go exactly as they went in the past. So try to see for yourself, what kind of ideas have you put together about relationships or whatever topic is triggering you. Think about the past experiences you had and try to understand where your mindset actually comes from. And then you will notice that every time that something happened, you reinforced that belief. You reinforced that old limiting belief. For example, if you had the belief, like when I was younger, I had the belief that men didn't want to commit because, years ago they were younger, so if they're younger they don't want to commit. So in my brain there was the belief that men don't want to commit. I brought that belief on in my life, and so I had to become aware of that, realize when was the moment that I started to believe in that, and then change it. Or at least I had to become aware of my thought process during that time. And that is how I realized, first of all, what my self-concept in love was, or in every other area you struggle with. If you've been trying the same thing over and over and you got no results, can you allow yourself to try something different? Can you allow yourself to try something different even if it's uncomfortable? You can try it for a while. And if nothing changes, you can go back, you can still experiment, because nothing is fixated. You can always change your mind, you can always change your approach. Do you have to do it? Actually, you don't. If persisting works for you, go for that. But I had to change my approach because I realized that I was giving too much importance to my desire, so much so that my desire was more important than me. As much as we want something, it is not essential in our lives. Okay, so for the longest time, I have idealized relationships. I was going to get my life together if I had a relationship. So there were like a lot of different aspects that I would put together, and that they were adding so much more importance to relationships than they actually had. Because now, as I have changed my way, my vision about relationships, everything is so much more clear and everything has so much less importance. It is something that I can enjoy, but I know it is not the main point of my life. I know that my life does not revolve around relationships. And in the past, it was the total opposite, where my whole life was depending on it. So it's a matter of how you see certain things. I'm not saying that you have to let go of your desire. I am saying that you need to look at your desire in a different way. In one of my videos, I was talking about decreasing the importance of your desire, whatever that is. Because when you realize that there is an imbalance out there about your desire, you realize that if you want to get it, you need to have a different approach, you need to have a different mindset, because the more importance and the more pressure you put on it, the more it slips away. At least according to my experience. If keeping your desire on a pedestal, if being so attached to your desire, it works for you in the sense that you don't need to detach, you don't need to decrease the importance of your desire because you think that you desire that thing in a healthy way, then go for it. I'm not saying that everyone needs to let go or that everyone needs to decrease the importance of their desire if their level of desiring that thing is healthy enough. You don't need to do that, but I am speaking towards those people that struggle the most with exactly like I did, because I struggled for a while with that and I didn't have to let go of my desire. And I want to make this clear. Disclaimer, I did not have to let go of my desire. I had to decrease the importance of it in my mind. I knew that I could have my desire. No matter what your desire is, you can have it. What you really need to change, if nothing has worked for you, is the way you look at your desire, is what you think of your desire. I realized that I've put so much pressure on it in the sense that everything was revolving around my desire. And I would come second in relation to my desire. I would come second. And that's not good. This is why I was not able to manifest it, because I would always look at my desire with like an eye of, this thing is gonna save me, this thing will make my life better. So all of my expectations and pressure were on that desire. So I knew that in order to have it, I should have changed my perspective on it. And this is when things actually started changing. I told myself, I want to have a drastic approach to this. So far, nothing has changed, nothing has worked, so I'm gonna have a drastic approach to this. I will find ways in which my life will still be perfect without my desire. What did I write down here? Let me see. So I'm asking you, what are you idealizing? What do you think this thing will give you? How can you decrease the importance you're attributing to this desire you have? Now ask yourself, can you actually live without this thing? And the answer is probably yes. And it can feel uncomfortable, because when I was stubborn as hell, this question would have really made me feel uncomfortable. But can you live without it? And the answer is probably yes. You can live without it. And looking back at my life, I really could see how I have always lived my life without it, and that my life was still good. My life was still worth living. There are so many things in the world that we can experience. Let's not reduce everything down to this one desire we have. There is so much in life to experience. So even if this desire is something that you always craved for, this desire is blinding you. You are blinded by the idea you think this desire will give you. Because when I was idealizing relationships, everything was always better in my imagination than what it actually was in reality. Has this happened to you as well? When you desire something so much, then when you have it, you realize it's no big deal. It's like normal. It feels so natural and normal to have. This happened to me with relationships. Whenever I had one, I always thought that they were better in my imagination than in reality. You're attributing too much importance to your desire, but you can actually live without it. And now, think about other things you want. Think about other desires, other small desires or experiences you want to have. What other things do you want to experience?